trying to break down the process of being an entrepreneur and finding these different questions that a lot of students and kids or first time business owners, they all ask what steps to take, what features, how has a successful person started their life, gone through what hardships, just breaking those pieces out and doing that for students and giving them the ability to know what that process is, and then also teaming up with current business owners and pieces like that to just make an awesome series of videos that we could train different people with, but also give motivation to anybody that'll listen to them. So,
Right. Well, let's talk about your story because it's it's the most incredible. It's one of the most incredible stories. I mean, first of all, we met. I saw you prior to you becoming a student. I saw you sing. And it's folks, for you don't realize it, but Cavet's voice is inspiring. I can't believe it. But what's so incredible is that when we speak, we sound virtually the same. But my voice is so bad. How does I thought you were going to do something with music because I know you're involved in music. So how did that whole thing happen?
So I played the saxophone since I've been in fourth grade, and I did that all the way up till second year in college. But junior year of high school, there was a play and a musical. I didn't want to go out for it. I never sang before. I didn't really want to do it. We had a sound engineering class, and we needed somebody to sing / speak into the mic so everybody could EQ and try that. So I started singing it one day, and then the choir teacher came over and said, "You need to try out for this." I don't want to do that. That's not me. I don't want to be singing. And I told my parents, and like, "Yeah, we heard you in the shower. I don't know." I wouldn't let them see anything. Tried out, got the lead position that year, and then it kind of evolved into doing choir in college and madrigals and singing at Harrisburg Senators games and stuff. So it kind of did that. And that's my hobby. It was way easier for me to sing than it was to play the sax because I didn't want to have to practice. So I dropped the sax and wow. Just kept singing. So
I was shocked. I saw you sing at, I can't even remember the event now at SHIP. Yep. This was before when you were a sophomore or yep. maybe a freshman. Yep. I can't remember. But then you showed up in class the next year, and I'm like, whoa, this guy can.
Yeah, not many people know. It's kind of like a hidden talent.
It was a hidden talent. Well, that's the thing that I found so interesting about your life story and everything is you've always had, and I don't want to call them side hustles, but you've always had these entrepreneurial things on the side
yep.
that are they're like they're businesses that you've had, which I'm sure there are multiple revenue streams, and I'm not trying to say anything, but you've always had these small, I mean, they may not even be small from what I understand. Well, tell us about some. I know you've got a startup with your father.
So I do. My dad actually used to be the president of a massive aluminum like plateware and giftware called Wilton Martell. That actually got split up and moved overseas in 2016. So when that happened, we wanted to keep manufacturing. We're big into manufacturing. He's been in that since I've been really small. So we wanted to keep a similar kind of business in the United States and in Pennsylvania. So we set up a foundry, set up finishers, and we created it based on the context that he had. And we actually have a business now that this year will be able around like $400,000 in sales. But we do awards for Honda, the U.S. Open. We actually created an aluminum-based alloy that you can actually stick in the microwave and heat up, and it doesn't actually freak out.
I want that.
So that's pretty cool. Don, it was funny the one time he was like, "We're gonna stick this in," and everybody in the family was like, "You can't put that in there." And he heated up his coffee right in there, The cool thing is when you're actually heating it up, it'll heat up the food. It won't heat up the device or the bowl or the plate. So it's actually cool to touch, unlike ceramic.
Wow.
But as long as it doesn't touch the sides, it's perfectly harmless.
Well, you had this thing. I was over your house once for Christmas. By the way, you are over the top with Christmas. You're over the top. I mean, we live in the same neighborhood.
Yep.
And I mean,
I like Christmas a little bit.
I can see that. And now that you have a child, you're going to have to like it.
Absolutely.
You're going to have to like it even more. But I mean, like around our neighborhood, some people have got some modest lights up, here and there. And then there's this beacon. It's like this huge sunball.
I try to be the Griswolds. That's my sensation there.
That's your inspiration there. And so anyway, I was in your house and you had this long table.
Uh-huh.
And you and your father made them or make them?
So the table in the back room?
Yes.
So actually, that table itself, I made that for for my wife and I's wedding. I actually made 15 of them.
Where'd they go? I'd like to.
The cool thing was I built them all. It was cheaper than actually renting them. I kept the main table and then I sold the rest. Oh. So I actually ended up making money having a wedding
on your wedding
because I actually built them. It was like $250 per table to rent, and I only cost $100 to make them. So then I sold them for $250 each.
Wow! I would have bought one of those tables. I was really impressed. I was saying, I like this table here.
I'll have to build you one.
That table's great. So, all right. So let's start from. Okay, you got out of school in 2015. Mm-hmm. Now I know that you were in the same class with Don.
Yep.
And that's how things got here.
Correct.
And so now let's talk about. You do all the innovation management stuff around here. I mean,
I do a few things.
Everything as far as innovation management and what that all entails here at Nori Media. In fact, the studio that we're in right now, I guess is part of your home.
Yep, this is one of my rooms out of the building.
This is one of the magic rooms where things happen. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about all the things you do. Let's talk about
sure.
all the excitement. There's tons of stuff to talk about here.
When I started, it was actually Don brought me on as a part-time person to help with social media while we were going through classes for the MBA. And at that point, our social media accounts here, we had nothing. We had an email list of, I think it was about 5,000 people. And then after we got through the MBA, I got hired on full-time to do social media and web development here. So we started building a core email list to really target our customers, started really focusing on all of our social media accounts and really kind of expanding that. We started a really small website that was doing maybe 100 orders a month. So that was great. It was 100 more a month than we had ever before. We didn't really have a website selling to anybody. We sold all to Amazon. But the cool thing was, after about a year and a half, we had hit 50,000 on our email list and 25,000 on a lot of our social media accounts. And then we started doing 200, 300 orders every month, to the point now is we have 500,000 email subscriber base. Each account has about 85,000 followers on it, where our YouTube, that is just shy of 300,000 for this. But now our store is replacing one of our actual brick and mortar stores that went out of business. We're doing anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 orders a month here, which is roughly about 6,000 units going out the door each month. And the cool thing is that we got actually set up so we report our sales to a lot of these reporting outlets, maybe hitting the best sellers list. But we got all that set up as well. So we're doing a lot of different things. We started a whole video development program here, which we have 500 courses now and over 13,000 videos through a streaming platform. So we go to conferences, do live streams, and so it's a little bit of everything I get my hands into.
Is Nori Media thinking about going into? I mean, this is a vlog right now.
That's right.
Are you going to go into blogging and that kind of stuff? Or?
So we work with a lot of our authors to set them up individually for the authors. So as a company and a publisher, it's tougher to get that follower base, but we work with the direct authors because that's what people want. They want to hear the message from them. They don't really want to hear it from us.
Right.
So we give them the tools, the capabilities, we give them the marketing backing, and build them into our list as well.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of setting them up for success by using our foundation that we've set up. So
where do you see everything going in this crazy online? I mean, it doesn't make any difference what you say because you can't be wrong.
That's right.
It's a crazy world.
So it's crazy. Each different, like every couple months, a new social platform comes up, and it's filling a void for the younger demographic. So younger demographic really wants stuff that's quick, fast, less than a minute or two for the content, but to consume a lot of different content. That old user base from the 40 to 65 range is primarily into the physical books, physical DVDs. But that younger demographic from the 18 to 35, that's really that quick content, digital video, ebooks, audiobooks. So trying to be able to be on the forefront compared to all of our competitors, that's one of the big things we look at. We've got a list of our competitors and what they're doing, and we want to make sure that we're hitting all of that first. So it's always a challenge. It's a fun challenge, but I like to compare what we're doing as a company, which most of our competitors haven't even thought of starting up video. Most of them don't even do audiobooks at this point, which is pretty crazy.
Surprising there.
So looking at all those different areas and trying to really expand how we do audiobooks, how we do videos, how we can take revenue and one piece of content and pull it apart and be able to use it like we're going to do with these videos. It'll be on all different social accounts, and will be for a lot of our videos. We take them that are in a course, we'll sell them individually, then we'll split them apart for specific messages, put them on YouTube, and make additional revenue on top of that. So it's trying to use 1-2 pieces of content to use it in 50 different areas.
Well, let me ask you, is Facebook dead, or is it just...
So Facebook's still the #1 marketing agency in the United States.
Really?
And it's still Google.
Their stock prices.
Stock prices is still horrible.
Not looking so good. Half the people have been fired. But
yeah, well, yeah, and that's
half,
what Amazon's actually letting go 10,000 employees in their corporate structure, which is pretty crazy too. So a lot of people are lopping them off, but Facebook is still #1 marketing agency in the world. I mean, that's where a lot of businesses have and promote a lot of their products. So, and for us, it's great because that's where a lot of our demographic is. That older market is still in Facebook. But as that starts to dry up and we have to start using this younger base, setting those foundations early and kind of getting them used to and figuring out what they want as content so that we can change and build content that'll fit them.
So getting back to the original question, where are we going with, I mean, where are we? I mean, you think that, you talked about everything, the 25 or the 18 to 35 demo and then the 35 and above. So where do you think, is there going to be a platform that wins, or is it always going to be multiple new upcoming platforms?
I think it's going to be a mix of a few core platforms, and there's always going to be something new. So people are going to be trying TikTok, and YouTube's actually really competing with TikTok now with all of their shorts and really giving developers a lot of extra revenue if you're developing shorts just to try to compete with TikTok. So Google and YouTube are really trying to hone in on what TikTok's success is. And that's the big thing. A lot of them, like Amazon, they'll find these smaller companies or these startups that are doing well, buy them, incorporate them in, and now they're under that big umbrella anyway.
Right.
So it's it's going to have a core of a few that are still always the same, but they're going to be injecting a lot of those smaller ideas and companies in so that they can be relevant still. So
it's always a mess.
Yes, it's always a challenge, and they're always changing the algorithms in the back end. So one month you might be able to target this way, and then next month that you can't even do that. It's no longer an option. So then you've got to learn constantly on your toes.
You've got to change the words that you
words
that you hit.
Especially now.
Especially now, if you hit a wrong word,
the whole account could go away.
The whole account could get, or they won't let you monetize it.
Yep.
Or
so like Facebook has this thing. They call it social issues.
Social issues.
Whoever is the advertiser actually has to put all of their personal information, their physical address for their house, their social security number, all of this stuff in to tie you with an ad. So if you click social issues, you have to go through this whole test to make sure that you are who you say you are. And then if you post something that you're not supposed to, you are personally responsible. So that's one of the things.
Wow.
For me, we run all of our accounts in-house, and then we also are admin on 90 of our authors' accounts. Some of the pages up to 4 or 5 million followers. So being that one point person, having to tie all of that information in there so that it is secure. It's been an interesting process, and every 6 months you've got to do that.
That scared me.
Oh yeah.
I had no idea that was part.
Google's not to that point yet, but Facebook really likes to control what's going on, and a lot of accounts can't post for, and social issues. They've got like 200 items labeled under that one category, social issues. And if you have one word or type of word or the post looks different, they'll flag it, they'll manually review that, and then they'll tie it with your personal information after you completed that test.
Well, let's not do any of those. Let's not do any of those 200 words. We're apolitical. We're asocial.
That's right.
We're neutral on everything.
That's how it should be.
We're going to be completely, nondescript on any of that. We don't want to get flagged. We don't want to get flagged for any of that. All right, so let's talk more. Let's talk about your entrepreneurship life here at Norimea. I mean, you've gone over all the things that you're involved in and everything. So, and all the the wonderful wins and everything that you've had. But where do you spend most of your time? If you're going to lop up your day or lop up your week, or you're going to allocate so much time and everything, where do you think you spend most of it coming up with these great ideas?
So I would say a big bulk of my time is really working with our team here internally, coming up with new areas to keep us on the forefront. There's always issues coming through the door, so we have to work through those. But coming up with a lot of strategic planning to figure out, okay, we have all of these plans, what's working, what's not, what can we test? And with the speed of marketing, as we always say here, it's a big focus to be able to measure everything that we do. If there's something like print advertising, if we can't do that, it's tough for us to measure, to see that return on investment, to make sure that we're making what we need to make on all of these pieces. So being able to work with the team, come up with new strategies, focus on just the overall business profitability, and how we're doing as a company is a big part of my job here. So,
well, I understand. Like when I had my business, I always worried because you've always got fires to put out every day. Every day you come in, you're going to have 200 emails.
Everybody's got an issue, and it's all different.
And it's 200 emails, and now you've got more other stuff. You've got all this other stuff and everything. And I used to always say to myself that I've got to put out these fires, but I got to think long term.
Exactly.
Because if you don't take the time, And so I would just prioritize. I would say, okay, these are the fires that I've got to put out.
These are forest fires, and these are brush fires.
These over here may cause a little bit of problems and everything, but they're going to burn themselves
That's
out.
right. That's right. They'll figure it out.
So I'm not gonna concentrate on these little fires over here. Now they may turn into big fires, but for right now they look like I think I can just let them burn.
That's right.
And these over here, they're gonna burn down the house.
Right now.
So I got to get a hose and get rid of those.
Absolutely.
But I would always say that I've got to prioritize my fires, but then after that, I've also got to think long term. I've got to come up with, well, what are we going to do tomorrow, next week, 5 years from now?
Absolutely.
Because if you don't, and I see this with entrepreneurs all the time. I mean, especially in a startup, you're always putting out fires.
Yep.
Always putting out fires. But once you get up and running, and that's all you're doing, putting out fires when you get up and running. But once you get up and running and everything, you've got to think long term.
You have to learn how to innovate and keep moving forward. If you're stagnant, you'll just fizzle away.
If you don't stay on that, I don't want to say the bleeding edge, but if you don't stay
close,
then you're not bleeding.
Yeah.
But your colleagues that you're going to just get flattened.
Yeah. And that's one of the big things that for our team here, we are always putting at least 25% of our time into research and development for anything that we do. We want to make sure that we are trying new things, testing different areas. Hey, maybe we go back to something that didn't work in the past and now it works now. Right. But we have that dedicated time that we're always looking at what everybody else is doing and trying to do 10 times more, just so that everybody comes back and goes, wow, they're doing all of these things, and most of our competitors are doing 2.
Right.
So some of the stuff may work, some of the stuff may not. We put that in there that works, and then we really try to focus down on that. Okay, this new area is already starting to take off. About 2 years ago, we did the same thing with YouTube. We had like 20,000 subscribers, wasn't really making much money. We brought Peyton on board, and he really was able to take that idea, focus down, and really expand it to where we're making $20,000 to $30,000 a month on extra revenue coming into the company. And it's now ability to use that to gain new authors, gain new business. So just taking different pieces like that and going, okay, this idea we know is going to work. It works for other people. How do we get it to work in our area? And then give the tools and give us the ability to hire somebody in that's dedicated for that specific bonfire, to really get us to the point we are today. So.
Well, I hope Peyton does a great job with this blog. I hate for this to be one of the ones that fails and everything.
No.
So, working in this field and everything, it is so it's changing so quickly and everything like that. Do you ever get to the point where you say, I'm a hamster on a treadmill?
I would say on a daily basis. Some days that you get the same recurring problems. You fix them, and then it happens again and again and again and again. With different publishing pieces, some of the stuff is always the same. I mean, you're never going to change. You could doll it up and give it a different finish or something for a physical book. But for the digital side, it's like the Wild West. There's so many different areas that you got podcasts and videos and vlogs and short videos and commercials. And I mean, it's everywhere. Each big platform has their own marketing engines or different pieces of how the video has to be cut or how people see it. So it's that constant back and forth of we've got the standard stuff that it's always going to be the same way, but then this whole digital realm is just like it's like a free for all. One day this will work, next day it won't, and so then you've got to find the new base that's going to work in that void.
Well, how is it with your authors? Are your authors? I know you have to do a lot of stuff with your authors and your content providers and everything. I mean, because that's your lifeblood of your business. Exactly. You've got to have content. And if the people aren't creating content,
So, and that's one of the big things. So we take in our team here, we've got the message from the book, and we're able to pull that out. We'll make videos based off of that. We'll reach out to the author and say, hey, out of your book, we want you to do 7-8 sessions based on these specific items. Really expand upon that so that we can use that in all these different areas. So it's not just one message in a book. It's the same message expanded upon in 20 different areas, trying to hit all those markets of, hey, people want to listen. They only want to listen to a book. They don't want to ever read it. They don't want to watch it on a video. So you've got to hit all of these different pieces to get that full picture so that that one message hits all of those different areas everywhere. Or it's just, yeah.
If it's not consistent.
That's right. The consistency is the killer for a lot of our competitors. They'll post stuff, and one day it'll be something, another day it'll be completely off brand, and then nobody wants it. No, they can't keep that consistency relating to the message or relating to the brand. And I see that for so many different businesses locally. It's frustrating. You go, like, just do at least one thing the same all the time, and then try different things on top of that.
Well, it's like this. If you've got a brand,
yep.
and the message is not consistent.
Yep.
It's just, if it's diffused, people get confused, and if they get confused, they don't know what the brand.
And then they won't look at it either. That'll be it.
It's the old thing, like, I mean, if Nike opened a restaurant, you know what kind of restaurant it is.
Yep.
You know, you know it would be flashy and because it's got a very consistent message.
They would serve you soup in a shoe or something.
Yeah, they would serve you soup and and they would have chairs made out of Gore-Tex or something like that.
Right.
Whatever. Right. All right, so let's tie all this back to your time at SHIP, and you're, as I said earlier, you're a proud e-graduate and everything. What did you think about the program then, and then 9 years or almost 8.5 years later after graduating? What do you think now? Did it prepare you?
Oh, absolutely. I would say being in a lot of the entrepreneur classes and actually getting hands-on and diving deeper in, a lot of the basic business classes give you an overview. And a lot of it's a theoretical overview of how it should work in the world.
This is how business should work.
Yeah, this in this book is going to teach you the 5 ways of how every business functions. Theoretically, yeah, that would be great, but that's not how the world works. And the classes that you developed and taught break down what actually happens in a day-to-day actual company. It gives you the idea of, hey, stuff isn't just going to be peachy all the time, or it's not going to hit all of these things every time that you look at it. So being able to test and dive into these different, even when we were doing the case studies, it was all these different aspects go into one issue. One thing could shift you off of a whole area, and it breaks the whole company down. If you're not looking at cash flows, which a lot of business, you don't really need to look at that. You just need to make sure you got stuff coming in. It's going to be okay. No, you could be making $100 million a year, and if you've got no cash, you're not going to be around too long.
You can't pay those creditors. It's funny how they want to close you down.
Yeah, that's right. But being able to dive into those classes and develop products and go through that whole process from start to finish, most people don't realize what's involved in either starting a company, starting a project, or even if you have a project inside of a company that you're working through in a corporate world, you don't know what goes into it to actually make it successful. You have to go through that whole planning stage. You've got to test it. You've actually got to do your research to focus on, okay, is this even have the ability to make an effective plan going forward? Or is it just going to be, it's worthless, but let's still try to go for it anyway, because that's wrong.
We can force it.
Yeah, we can force it in there. We'll take that.
Customers will like it.
They're gonna like it. They're gonna take it.
They're gonna run with it.
But being able to work through a lot of those issues that weren't just an overview, but a deep dive into how real businesses work, I think that for me was the biggest key. I've been around business my entire life. My dad's been in the manufacturing and in the management side, and working through all of that my whole life and being around that. I mean, that's what I wanted to do.
Right.
You see a lot of the nitty gritty on that side, but then when you're actually into it, it's just like, yeah, that book, that had nothing to do with anything that the real world is like. So having those classes really helped kind of open my eyes to what reality is.
Well, I knew from the first time I met you in class, I thought you were going to be singing, but then after I said, well, he's going to be really, really successful, I knew you were going to be successful. I mean, there was just no doubt in my mind that it was going to happen. In fact, I wished I could have invested some money at that time, But I know that, when you went through, we had small classes. I think in your cohort we graduated about 16.
Yep.
And it stayed that way. We're still graduating about 16 or 17 a year. The program changed somewhat when we went through the pandemic. We took a hit. Everybody took a hit in the pandemic. But I think, now that the pandemic is over, we're starting to rebuild and everything, and hopefully